Welcome. It's part two of Windshield and Skylight. In the previous episode, I had done all of the fitting of the Skylight piece, the windshield. Everything was kind of put in place and set. Moving forward now in this episode, I'm going to be doing more of the finishing steps, getting the holes drilled in the Skylight, getting the trim strips, everything clecoed in place, and kind of getting it more permanent. I'm not actually doing the finish installation in this episode. That will be coming in a part three, but I'll get right up to that point. Got the Skylight back on the bench here. While it was up there, the manual says to draw some lines that kind of trace out where your ribs are. I also kind of traced out the back edge, front edge. What they want you to do is cut and remove the masking material so that you're on the bare plastic. You have to be careful here. You don't want to just take your blade and cut because you'll score into the plastic. So you have to kind of carefully lift the edge and kind of run your blade sideways. It's going to be a pain to do this. And I think I'm not going to worry about having a little strip here. And I think I'm just going to cut. I'm basically going to peel this back here, past this line all the way down, come across here, and then somehow in the middle, try to figure out how I can remove just this strip without scoring into the plastic. All right, my method of choice here was to lay just this straight edge here, peel this up to the straight edge so that I have a nice line. Then I'm going to come in here with my blade parallel to the plastic so the blade doesn't scratch into it, and slice this off and remove it. I'll do the same thing over here, same thing across the back. It didn't say anything about the back, but I think I just want to have the plastic up off the back and the front edge as well. The perimeter was really easy. The middle was kind of a pain. I just took my blade with a straight edge right in the middle and just lightly, I'm talking ever so lightly, scored the masking, being very careful not to get into the plastic. And then I was able to kind of start an edge and kind of work that and split the mask right at that score. It seems to work. I didn't really get into the plastic at all. This Lexan scratches really easily. Me just kind of handling it right here has got little scratches in there, but it is what it is. Lexan scratch is easier than acrylic. Okay, so that's what I ended up with. So this will let me do all the work I need to do, and then once it's all installed, I'll get in there and just rip those two center pieces out. Also, it looks black, right? It looks like it's fully opaque black. It's not. It's just heavily tinted, and it's got the masking still on the back. So it's just kind of giving that appearance. In most cases, I think I might be the only person that's done this on an S-21. In most cases, you're going to use the supplied material. But I'm really stoked to see how this is going to look on there with it being effectively kind of almost black. I mean, I think it's just going to go real good with my gray and all my black rib structure in there. I think it's going to be a good look, and it's going to be highly functional for where I'm located out here in Arizona. All right, I've got the Skylight back on, clecoed in place. I had to undo, I had all these clecoed in left and right side, and then I realized I had to put the mating strip, the inside and then the top outside mating strips on, and I had to slip those in. So I had to undo all these so I could kind of lift up the windshield, slip that in there, get all that clecoed. That's kind of hard to do. It'd be much easier with a helper, but I did get that clecoed in to that cross tube support, nice and tight. Looks really good. Glad I went with black paint on these parts. I was gonna go gray, but like I said, with this tinted piece here being very dark, I think it's gonna look really good being black, especially when all the masking gets pulled off. It's gonna be a nice dark piece up there. So I need to see what I need to do next, but I do have all that clecoed in place. So far, so good. I will say, so far, Windshield and Skylight have not been nearly as bad as I thought they would be. I was really anxious to do all this a couple weeks ago, and it really hasn't been bad. I mean, there have been parts of this project that have been much worse. Cowling is one of them. So far so good. I'll probably eat my words when it comes time to all this stuff here, but for right now, it's all good. All right, so I fabricated 2 of these outer rib strips. They said 9 equally spaced holes. I did 10 just because the way my rivet hole spacer worked and the spacing that I could do, I did 10. I hope that's not gonna, this shouldn't make a difference. If anything, it'll just be one extra rivet. Now I gotta make the center trim strip 29 7/8. You'll notice I have a piece of raw material that's not black because I screwed up. I don't know what I did. I cut some when I was making these, I cut one wrong, and then I used that material for that, and then I didn't have enough for the center strip. Fortunately, I had a sheet of 50 thousandths, and I went down to my buddy's hanger just down the way and used his shear, and I sheared me up a new piece. So it's only gonna pull me back about a day while I have to prime and paint this piece, which I actually had to mix up some paint anyway because I fabricated these after I had sprayed the long pieces, and I have these little edges. So I'm gonna just repaint these. So really it didn't set me back a whole lot. So 29 7/8 on these pieces. I'm gonna put 10 equally spaced holes on this one. And then after that, I'll go ahead and fabricate the front piece here. And then that should be all of my pieces. So the way this works is I'll use, I've drilled the end holes and clecoed the rivet hole spacer, except for the last one. There are 20 fingers here. So if I do it this way and I drill every other hole, that gets me the 10 equally spaced holes, which is what I did for these. I have 10 on these as well. So let me get this drilled out. I'm up top here, and I should have removed the masking on both sides of the material where the ribs are so I can see through them. But I've got it all clecoed together now. I'm kind of lazy and I don't want to take it apart. So I think what I'm going to do, because what I'm trying to get at here is I need a reference line centered with the rib so that when I bring my trim strip up and I match drill through the plastic into the rib, that I'm centered on the rib, and I can't see the rib right now. I can see it up here, so I've created this little straight edge that I've taped in place centered on this edge. I shined a light up through the bottom, and using the shadow, I found the center of the rib at the aft end here. And I think if I just take my Sharpie and I draw a line all the way, that'll be my center line on the rib. I'll take this is just a thin trim strip. This is actually one of the strips that go underneath this, which isn't in right now. I'll draw that line. I can come back in with my bright flashlight underneath and just verify that that line is in the middle of the shadow of the trim strip. This is me just being lazy. The right way to do this is to take this all apart and remove the masking, but I'm fairly confident that if I do this, that I have a center line. Let's see. Nope. That didn't work. Somehow I slipped back here at the aft end. If I can get my light in here. I'm not centered. I'm gonna screw myself here. I'm gonna do what needs to be done. I'm gonna take this all apart, remove the masking material here so that I can see through my piece, because the last thing I wanna do is drill not centered in my rib. That would absolutely suck. So do it the right way, DJ. Take the time. There we go. Now I have them on both sides. This actually gives me the opportunity to take a look at the tint. It's dark when you look at it here, but when you look at it through the light, it's pretty good. All right. Okay, put this thing back up there. A little side note here. On these mating strips, this is the one that goes on the inside. This is the one that goes up on top. You've got these little doublers or whatever they call them. It's kind of hard to place and stack all these in there while you're trying to cleco it all together. I just used some 1-inch wide double-sided sticky tape, really thin stuff. This really thin stuff here. And I just sticky taped them together because now they're kind of one unit. And then I just went through and kind of punched holes where the where the tape was, where the holes need to go, so that I can Cleco those in there. That's gonna hold these in place. So this will go like this, yeah. That just seemed the most logical way for me to do this than fight that. So just a side note, I'm gonna get back to reassembling everything back up there. That was worth doing. This way I can see the rib, get it perfectly centered, and not take a chance of really screwing something up. I've got my trim strip taped in place over the center line. One thing I'm noticing, you gotta be careful that the rib, it can kind of move to one side or the other. It's not perfectly center lined. So when I'm gonna drill and Cleco this, I'm gonna drill and Cleco the front, then I'm gonna do one of these middle ones, and I'm gonna hold that rib in position so it's centered. So that ends up actually truly being centered, and then I can do the rest of them. All right, I got that match drilled through there. Best I can tell, that rib is centered up on that strip. I guess I'll know once I pull all this apart and deburr everything, and I get to see where those holes are in the rib. I mean, listen, if you're left or right of center, even, 3/32 of an inch, that's not gonna be a deal killer. It's a 1/2 inch wide, so it should be okay. What I did have to do, I had this tail up on the stool and that spool there, so that was kind of level, and it was just too hard to get up there. So I'm like, why am I fighting myself? I only had it level from when we put the wings on. It's just much easier for the plane to be mostly level there. Now, doing the Skylight, so much easier dropping this tail down, because then this is a foot lower here, and I can kind of see it at an angle. So should have done that a little bit ago. But let me go ahead and duplicate the same thing for this rib. I'll just do it the same way. Should turn out just as well. All right, I got it. Same way. Turned out just as good. And now, center one. Can do the same thing. Strike my center line, tape my strip up there, match drilling good. These are number 40s right now, because when I did these hole spacings in these strips, I did 40s. I will, at this point, I guess, come in and do 30s. And then later, the plastic gets opened up with I think a 28, just to give it a little bit of room for the rivet. Center strip done. Turned out just as good. If I come in underneath here, I can see it's all looking real nice. Nice fit of the plastic up against the ribs. Everything's conforming very nicely, and I'm getting a chance to see, with some of this masking removed, the tint, and I'm really liking the dark tint against the black pieces. I'm really happy I decided to go with black on those instead of the gray like originally I was gonna do. I think that's just gonna really make this look nice in here. So the last piece is this center one. Now I gotta be real careful here, because that's the acrylic, and I'm gonna use my acrylic drill bit for that. I have just been using regular drill bits on the Lexan. It's fine. But with the acrylic, definitely. And today it's a little cooler out. It's about 65 degrees. I know you want to work with acrylic when it's a little warmer, so I'm just gonna be real careful there. But same kind of deal. Now here I can see the rib much more easily. I will say one thing, with the tinted Skylight, as dark as it is, it's very difficult to see through there and see the ribs. I was having a hard time with that, but I did manage. Before I come in here and drill this trim strip through the windshield, now is the time to double extra verify that my windshield is in the right position. So I've double checked. I am my 1.5 inches from here to the front edge of this on both sides. So this is correct. And then I've checked my left and right. If I take the apex of this curve to the edge of the wing, I'm like 3 3/4 heavy. Same thing over there. I'm within a little bit less than 1/16 of an inch, which is fine. Incidentally, when I do that, this rivet right here, the center of the windshield, actually doesn't end up perfectly centered according to the measurement. So it could be that this tab was slightly off center, combined with the fact that maybe the windshield is about 50 thousandths one direction or another. what I'm getting at is it doesn't matter. This thing is close enough. I've come down here and I've checked from here to the bottom edge, and this can kind of move, so for whatever that's worth, but nominally as it kind of sits, I have just under an inch. And if I come over here to here, just under an inch. So it seems to be sitting in about a perfectly neutral centered position. When I look at this, the way this curves up, it kind of, if it was to continue that curve, it would kind of come to the inside edge of this tab. If I come over here, if this curve kind of came up, it would go to the inside edge of this tab. So, I mean, this thing is centered, it's in position. I'm just gonna run with it. Put the tail back up on the stand for this so that I can get the nose here a little more at an angle that's more workable. There we go. Got that strip in place. Again, it's a nice fit. It pretty much completes all the strips and the fit of everything except the rear. And we'll just take one look in here. And that's nice and centered. And I like it. Nothing looks out of place. Don't think I screwed anything up. All right, so I got the aft trim strip that I need to work on now. I've cut it to size. It's to be cut in line with the fuselage sides. So it will sit like so. And what I need to do is it's kind of hard to see with this tint, but I need to make sure I miss any of the existing rivets. And what I'm gonna do, I think basically what I landed on is if I come back from the front edge about 3/8 of an inch, that'll be my center line where I'm gonna put my row of rivets. Between 3/8 and a half, somewhere in there. And then I'm gonna measure over from the left edge here. I'm gonna start with a rivet probably like, right here. And I'm just gonna measure over everywhere I can put one and miss these rivets and try to get some kind of a uniform spacing. I'll see how I can work that out. All right, I got my strip marked out where I can have rivet holes. The manual shows not very many holes, quite a few, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I guess. I have a lot more than that. What I'm gonna do is this is where I can have them and they're somewhat equally spaced. I'm gonna basically go every other hole and see how that holds the strip down. I don't want a lot of like waving. So that's why I'd rather have more rivets than less to just kind of help keep this all down. But I'll try it with not as many first. And then if I find that I want to add more, I can add more. So, and just the way this is laid out, it's kind of weird. These two will be there, then I'll skip one, do that one, skip one, do that one, and so on. I'll try it. And then if I need to add the others, I'll do that. Got the aft trim strip in place, and I think my spacing is fine. I don't need all the extra holes. That would be too many, it looks like. And at that spacing seems to be reasonable. These two are a little close to each other on the ends. That's okay. And if I come inside, it's kind of hard to see, but everything misses rivets perfectly. I miss a rivet with at least a 1/2 inch. Some of them are a little more clearance. And this gave me, I think, the best spacing. I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 across instead of the plans showed 11. So I like that. So at this point, all the trim strips are in place. Skylight is in place. I'm gonna say this is gonna conclude this episode. Everything went well. All said and done, around 12 hours maybe. I didn't keep perfect track of this time on this. 12 to 15 hours, let's say, for Windshield and Skylight so far. In the next episode, we'll be working on the Windshield, getting the Z-strips, this little molded strip across the front here, whatever that's gonna be. I haven't looked into that yet. I'll have to pull out the book and see. So anyhow, this is it for now. Thanks for watching.